Yo, what's up, y'all? This is DJ B Rice. You are tuned into Mid Atlantic Jams right now here on WRIR 97.3 FM. Right now, I have a lyrical legend in the building. She's been holding it down for decades. You might have heard her on Lord Finesse, the Awakening album, on the Game Plan, along with Speak Your Piece and Slide Like Grease. And she's still doing her thing, dropping the 2017 project Femme Fatale.
Can't complain, living for today. Tomorrow's not promised, the future's too far to say. So I stay in the moment, pay it forward choices I made. Keep my day ones close, got the vultures at bay.
I feel like a very underrated MC just in the game right now, and also super consistent. She has a project dropping very soon as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Marquee, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Glad to
good.
be
I'm
here.
good. Well, yo, we definitely see you on IG. The build up towards a new project. We've seen you in the
Mhm.
studio with Jake Palumbo, along
Yeah.
with the Beat Miners and some other producers as well. Tell just the listeners just a little update about the album that's about to drop.
Well, this album is the next step, the next step in the story of Marquee. And I made all the records bigger. They're a lot more musical. There's a lot of live elements to it. I have some of the most fantastic producers, like damn near like my dream team of producers that I wanted to work with, and very much surprise guests, like people I wanted to put people together that no one would, even pair, together and see what we would come up with. I like to work with people that I always wanted to work with, that I admire, that I feel like I might have musical chemistry with, and then I go for make it happen.
How is this project going to differ from Femme Fatale? Because I feel like Femme Fatale, you kind of hit everywhere. You had the constant elevation joint, and then you also got into, I feel like, your cool G rap type mode on the story crook joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got into
Yeah.
your cool G rap mode, and then just street stories with like making of the hustler, hood good, tracks like that. How is this one gonna differ besides the live production? Because Venom did a lot of the last one. He did a lot of the last one except one track. So
Venom and Kyo Tachi,
yeah, shout
who's
out to him. Yeah, my bad.
right for the Shinigami collaborative effort that they when they worked together in Injustice, and then Finesse did, one track on the record. It's the next logical step in the story. Femme Fatale was everything coming full circle, as far as like, people would think that I was different people. In that time, people would say, how it was like Nas Esco. He was like, people would come up with like different little nicknames for their name. I would do that too. Like, so after I left the group, a lot of times people didn't know that I was the same person from the group, or when I was on features, they didn't know that it was me. So I wanted to kind of like give a fuller picture of the story of Femme Fatale. So that's what the first album was, me stepping out, as a solo artist, kind of telling that story and working with the people that I wanted to go back and work with. So this next part of my musical journey is more so, there's a lot of there's going to be a street element to it, because that's the type of rap that has my heart. Like, I love, that had a lot of real stories. This has a lot of real stories, but it's the next logical step in the story, and where things get a little bit bigger, sounds get a little bit wider, a little bit more sophisticated. Certain producers, like I said, that I wanted to reach out to, that I wanted to have that experience of working with. There's a lot more color. That was a great first step as far as stepping out and being a solo artist, but this is by far gonna be my best work. It's like a masterpiece. I've been working on it for like 2 years and some change. So it's, yeah, I got records that I'm switching around. Like, I got so many records. I got records for the next record. Like, you know what I mean? Just, when I got in the zone with whatever producer I was working with, I just kept going with it. So I had other records. I just got things lined up in a way that I want people to know, like, who I am. I want people to, feel the things that a young Black woman might feel, growing up in a certain environment and elevating. So I'm glad you used that sample, Constant Elevation, because that's exactly what the next album is.
Yeah, and you were singing on the hook to that joint too as well, something that you're known to do over the years too as well.
Yeah, people don't normally notice that. That's funny. Okay. So
And yo, I was gonna ask you, I saw in the interview that Femme Fatale was actually the name of the first group you were a part of, correct?
yeah, yes, that was the name of the first group. I was La Femme Marquita in the group. There was two other females, one from Mount Vernon, one from Spanish Harlem. And yeah, I started out as a solo artist. Of course, I started with DITC. That's when I first started, doing professional features. Was with DITC, with Monifa, with I just started getting writing work like in a couple different places, which kind of led me to Latifa. So a lot of things were happening for me at the same time. Was before I got my deal.
Okay. Yo, got you. And you're from South Jamaica, Queens, too, as well. How's it growing up in just that era when because I feel like you came up in a very just interesting and possibly like volatile era. How was it just growing up and just everyday there and just your hip hop experiences, some of the first hip hop experiences you had there as well?
Well, I like to say I'm from South Jamaica by way of Rockaway. I lived in a lot of different parts of Queens, but most of the time I bounced back and forth from South Jamaica to Rockaway, Far Rockaway. So it's very different stories, even though it's the same borough. In Queens, in Jamaica, Queens, there was a lot more. I saw a lot more actually drug dealers, like up close, and things that I remember things that they did, in the hood that I remember. I lived around the corner from there was like a funeral home that's still there. There was a karate school. There's a lot of activity going on. They actually used to have like drive-bys in Jamaica, Queens, believe it or not. Like in like over in the West Coast. But what I remember mostly musically when I was that age, I started as a singer. So I used to sing all the time. I used to sing everything. I was in every choir, every play, every all my steps singing. And I wasn't singing normal things that kids was singing. I was singing like Square Biz, like Tina Marie. Like I was singing. Cause my mother played, she played all that.
Yeah.
She played really good music in the house. I got a lot of my musical influence from her. She listened to a lot of good music. She would make her mixtapes, the things she wanted to hear. She would go see these people like religiously, and she put me on my mother actually put me on the Mary J. Blige. Like
Okay.
that was her taste. Like she told me, yo, I like this girl. I didn't even hear the song. And she played me You Remind Me. And I was like, oh,
Okay.
okay. And she was an avid Wu. She like Wu Tang. Ghostface was her favorite. So, between the Bobby Womack's and the Aretha Franklin's, she liked that too. So I had a very wide array. And my brother was a DJ when I was younger. I actually started as a DJ when I started my rap, career. Like I started as a DJ, and I always wanted to be a writer. So when you talk about Story Crook, that was just like I'm happy people got it and enjoyed it because that was me having fun. That was like an exhibition. I wanted to do something creative and like, flip it. And I was kind of surprised as many people that got it as they did because I really had fun doing that record.
Yeah, the beat definitely allows you to like tell a story. Just the simplicity yet goldenness of that beat just allows you to just like sometimes I feel like with the beat like that you're able to just tell a very intricate story, which you were able to. And just being from Queens, I definitely got to ask, what rap album would you say influenced you just the most just during that time? Like, all right, I'm about to do this rap shit.
Hmm. See, the way I fell into rap is kind of a funny story because I used to write Cheers, and when I moved, my parents divorced, I moved to Rockaway. That's
Okay.
when I came from Jamaica. I moved to Rockaway from Hollis, and we were battling like the back building. So I would write the Cheers, you know what I mean? I would read, I read a lot always. I wrote poetry, and then I think I wrote something and people asked me to keep saying it. Like that's actually because I always, like I said, I always wanted to be a writer. Like I never even in the beginning planned on being the person to say, to say the things, that I wrote. So what was the question again?
Oh, no, you're totally fine. I was just gonna ask what I would say what albums or maybe like tracks like
okay,
because I know like it was a Shane era back. It was a Shane era back then.
That's a little bit before my time. But wait a minute.
Okay,
no,
okay.
that's a little bit before I wasn't old enough for that. But
okay, got you.
At that time, I had different influences. It wasn't one in particular. But when I did latch on to someone lyrically, it was Rakim, then it was Nas.
Okay, got you. Because the reason I asked that because I feel like when you're growing up, or I feel like it was around that time that like the Illmatics probably dropped. So that was like a whole resurgence, and from what I read, a whole resurgence in like Queen's rap.
Well, yeah, I mean, I liked Queens ain't never really go nowhere. I had posters. Of like Run DMC, So and Papo on my wall. I always loved Queen Latifah because I related to her the most. Like as far as like her versatility, she reminded me of me, because I'm, like I don't curse a lot normally in my rhymes, but you don't miss it. It's on purpose and it's not an easy thing to do, but that's the way I was taught. Finesse, he mentored me for a long time actually. Like my boot camp was definitely over there, and he would say people curse when they don't have nothing else to say. So
that's true.
My mind.
That's true. And we definitely have some more Queen Latifah questions later, but I wanted to ask you, what was your first, I feel like, official appearance on Wax? Did Femme Fatale, did they have any 12 inches out at that time, or did y'all have like a single that wasn't released? And how did you end up linking? You just mentioned your mentor was Lord Finesse. How did you end up linking with Finesse?
I met Finesse when I was 15.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I met him on a whim, just like me sneaking around where I wasn't supposed to be at. I met him and we became friends. It was not, I met him very, very long time ago. Like we're family now because we've been friends for so long. But like I said, things were happening simultaneously for me. So I was in a group. Actually, I was in a group. Monifa was in the group with me. One of the girls from we just had interchangeable groups because we would go to like all these open mics and perform. So it was like at the time, my girlfriend was in a group with Mos Def. That was called UTD. Her name was Cess. They were called Urban Thermodynamics. Yeah. Then we had Lanice. We had Queen Pen would hang out with us. Then Sherry Dennett. Like it was a crew of us that we would all like go perform. Like we were all trying to make our dreams, come true. So we were like interchangeable type groups. You know what I'm saying? So we had a group called Cream. We had a group. They plucked Monifa out. She was in a group with Free from 106 in Park. Like around that time. Right. There was a lot of people that was on a come up and we were all grinding together, So we would cross paths with all these people, even people that are like huge, stars now. Like we all, put in the same amount of work.
For sure. And a lot of people know you for initially from Game Plan and Speak Your Piece off of The Awakening. Just take us back to then, because that was the first time a lot of people saw you debut. Was that the first time people were like, oh wow, like kind of just hearing you on the mic, just people
That was the first time I was like, oh wow, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they didn't just put me on there because I was cute or because I was cool. I had to work for that spot. I said many, many a rhyme that fell on deaf ears, and they were just looking at me like, and just kept talking. So in my mind, I was like, yo, I'm a know. So I would just keep, writing until finally I got a spot, on one of the records. Like I said, that didn't happen overnight. Then the people that was on the lineup, like I said, I was blessed to be around them. I'm still blessed to have them in my life, musically and as friends, like now family. Like they put me through the, boot camp. Yeah. That's why, Finesse used to tell me before, he used to be like, yo, you way ahead of these chicks. You don't understand. I didn't understand. Yeah. Back then, I didn't understand. And then I go like, not now and, years, prior, I started going back and like listening, like some people just saying the stuff that I said, like, and I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about, as far as being prepped and prepared for the wear and tear and not having, a yellow back or thin feelings.
For sure. And Finesse was definitely right with you saying you're ahead of your time, because one of your lines is female, give it to you like email. This is like 1995, 96, like the AOL days.
I know. Yeah.
Like way ahead of your time.
Right. Because I always and still aim now to this day to make timeless music. That's
for sure. And another thing too as well is another track that's became a cult classic thanks to via YouTube and other sources is the Underworld Operations joint, where you and Finesse are going back and forth. How did that happen?
That was us, like, seriously, we were like making each other, keeping each other on point. For me, that was like a huge like milestone, because people might say, oh, I like this rapper, or I don't like that rapper. And what I always pay attention to, because there's some rappers you like or either you don't like, right? I always pay attention to who else they've been on records with, because that says a lot. Like somebody might say, oh, such and such was on a record with Big L, and nigga trash. Can't be trash. He was on a record with him and he wasn't trash on that record. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, that was one of my milestones. We had so much fun doing that record. And he really featured me on that record and really let me live and do what I wanted to do, as far as like lyrically. And he just bounced, we bounced off of each other. One of the funnier reactions that I got was on Hit to the Game. Like that was the record, like even more than Game Plan, because people knew that was my voice, but I'm not the girl in the video, or the three girls rather, two or three girls. But like on Hit to the Game, I was in the video. But I wasn't in the video till like the end, and then there's like a little teeny tiny part. And people were just like, they didn't get it that was me either for a long time.
And it's funny that you mentioned Big L too as well. Y'all have a record with an R&B singer by the name of Steven Simmons, named Alone. And I want to say Steven Simmons is from like the UK. And how did that come about? Because it just seems like, him from the original version of Alone was more of a different type of vibe, but this is like way more, it's the version that y'all are on are way more rugged, which is really dope.
He's from Sweden.
Okay.
Artist from Sweden. Finesse was working with him, and that was a Funky Man remix. So he decided to put me on it, and he put L on it. We wasn't even in the studio together when we did that record.
Real?
No, we wasn't. We wasn't in the studio together when we did that. L had his part, I put my part, and that was that it's called exactly the Funky Man remix.
Got you. And what are some of your favorite memories of just being around Big L?
That was like my man. That was anybody that knew him knew that L was like a huge personality. He was, if he wasn't making you laugh or cracking jokes, which is what he did all the time, he was rapping for you. Only those two things, like all the time. Like anytime you saw him, he was either rapping or he was cracking jokes, and he was super funny, like super funny. And that's one of the things that people don't know about him, that he would be snapping on, it could be the illest gangster in the room with us, he'll pick that to crack on until the dude want to kill him, and he'll do some shit like psych, like you thought he was gonna fight, like and then it was just make it even more funny. Like that's just what kind of dude he was. That was my brother. Like he was at my house every other day, and he just had a huge personality. His mom, what I'm saying, was a really nice woman, just really good guy. Very unfortunate, as you can, he's missed and irreplaceable.
Definitely is. And for all the listeners, I definitely say y'all should go and YouTube that Alone record, because I feel like you have a show stealing verse on there. You're like in the Avalon, puffing on some marijuana, listening to Sarah Vaughan, because everything I got is gone. Bars right there, yo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yo, tell us too, just the road, because I know you ended up getting signed with Track Masters under the name La Femme Fatale. Tell us the road to signing the Track Masters, because I know you had to join on the Sprung soundtrack with Mr. Dalvin, correct?
Yes.
And yo, how did working with Jodeci, like working with Mr. Dalvin, a member of Jodeci, how was that?
Me and Dalvin is like, we're like brothers and sisters. Like, we have fun, like, all the time. We would do pranks. He was showing me the ropes on a lot of things. He showed me a lot of things. He taught me a lot. So that particular record, that was another one where I felt very, very blessed. He really let me live on that record. Like, he's like, put 2 rhymes on it. And he wrote, like, the song, the rest of the song, we kind of vibed out. But the majority of the song is me rapping,
It is.
And that was right. That was the first soundtrack that I had been on. And he gave me that opportunity. He didn't give me no weird situation with my publishing. I didn't have no problem getting paid. I had learned all that, what I'm saying, from a boot camp. But still, me and Dalvin were like clowning brothers and sisters. Like, he's a really cool dude. And I think that he's very underrated because people don't know exactly what he does, how many instruments he plays. And if you know him, you can hear him in Jodeci, because you can hear him and his brother when they're not with Jodeci, because they can't become Casey and JoJo. And Casey and JoJo sound very different from Jodeci.
Oh yeah.
So you can hear the absence, So that's what I hear, because I know what his voice sounds like. I know what his harmony sounds like, just from being around him. And dude is mad talented, and I just don't think people give him enough credit for that.
They
no
really
clown,
do.
There's some people that been that big and been that large. It jerks. He's not.
For sure. And yeah, yo, how did just sign into just Columbia happen? Because didn't you? I read in an interview, or I saw in an interview, you had 2 deals that happened. It was Track Masters. And first of all, did Penalty have any interest in you before? I mean, after the Awakening and like Tommy Boy?
Well, the funny thing about it is I was working with Roy. Well, I did a song with Roy, so he was actually signed to Tommy Boy. It was kind of around the time after I left. But see, the thing with my group was I started as a solo artist, so sometimes people wanted only me.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's where some of the confusion goes. I don't know what their personal journeys were as far as people wanted to, I don't know. But for me, that happened a couple of times, and the thing with Track Masters was there was a bidding war that went on.
Wow.
Because of some of the stuff that, we had going on in the streets, because it wasn't like IG now, you get on IG and all that, but our buzz was completely word of mouth.
Oh man. And what would you say kind of went wrong with the whole like just Track Masters, just Columbia experience?
Well, I'm gonna take responsibility and say I don't think any 3-person anything will work.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. We can go back in history and look at 3-person groups, male and female. There will always be 2 that will click up, and there will always be 1 that's the outsider. Okay. And that's just math.
Got you. I definitely got you on that. And yo, let's definitely get into what has become over the years one of my favorite projects that I feel like is severely slept on. Queen Latifah, Order in the Court. You are pretty much on 4 cuts on this album, and you're pretty much riding shotgun on this album, including a cut called Parlay, which is just lyrically between 2 just lyrical giants, is going back and forth. How did you link up with Latifah and be featured so prominently on this album?
Well, my best friend, my sister's Monifa. She was already working with Flavor Unit. You know, she said, "Yo, I want you to hear my girl." I jumped in the back of limo one day, rhymed for her, and we was just working after that. That's what happened.
Oh man, that's definitely like super dope as well. And let's also get. I feel like a lot of definitely my Virginia heads would
Well, wait,
would.
wait, wait. But that
Oh yeah,
record
go
with
ahead.
her definitely was us locked into the studio. So what you picked up was exactly what happened.
Was it kind of
It
like
was
a
us
little bit of
locked
like
in.
competition? The
No,
who
it
had the
wasn't.
best verse?
No, no, not at all. It was like, yo, so it was, yo, Mark, meet me at the studio. Just me and her and the producer behind the board. What we gonna do? So that was very organic. You know what
And
I
the
mean? That
producer's name was Divine. I want to say Style.
Divine Style was one of
Yeah.
them. Ken Do Isaacs, he produced one of the records, I believe, and there was one other produced, Shockley. That
Okay.
was the
Okay.
other. So one of the record, well, Parlay, I'm glad you mentioned that. Parlay, it was, I learned some stuff. Latifah, I gotta give her credit for teaching me some things, you know. So one of the things that she taught me was that, I mean, a lot of people know that I use a lot of words sometimes, but more so before than now. And I was like saying this rhyme for her or whatever, and she's like, "Yo, Mark, you got like 4 songs in that one rhyme." So she taught me how to take apart and recognize those pieces, pull them out, and put the puzzles together, because I always thought it had to be beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end. You know, I never wanted to change anything or pull it out or move it around. And that song was that turning point for me and that jewel that she gave me. And part of the hook was part of the rhyme. You know, the
Got
hook
you.
was part of my rhyme. And you know, I love writing with her, I love working with her, because people don't know she can rap. Like, you know what I mean? She don't need nobody to, you sit right there next to her, you know, just like Moni Love. People don't really understand how good they rap. You know what I'm saying? They think, oh, you know, nah, it was nobody there but her, you know. And then the song Life was her, that dedication to Biggie and Tupac. And I did the hook. I'm underneath. Your life is what you make it, no matter how low.
Yeah.
Like, I had wrote the hook part, and then she kind of wrote the verses. And then when I saw what she did with it, I didn't even know she was going to do that to it. It would just became like one of those really, really. I love that song.
And also too as well for all my Virginia heads out there, you got to join on Kelis's first album. Actually, you got to join on the Clipse first album that never was released. That exclusive audio footage, Wild Cowboys. How was working? Because you told me you actually spent some time down here in Virginia Beach. How was working with the pre-Star Trek, Pharrell, Kelis, and Clipse? That whole clip.
Um, I was there for a while. We worked on her record. I did some for the Clips. We did the Royce record. Um, I always thought that I always knew that they were going to be big, like stars. Like, I never looked at them like I always looked at them the exact way they are now. You know what I'm saying? Especially, like, you know, me and Chad we just had this unspoken cool type connection. Like, you know, we both Pisces, I believe. And, you know, he was just, you know, me and him, we were talking, and people didn't know we talked. You know, it was some cool out stuff. And that's when Malice and Terror was Malice and Terror. There was no Pusha T, and, you know,
He went
and
by Terror.
it was Malice and Terror, right? Terror,
Oh wow.
Tear, I think, right? Yeah, it was just like Pharrell would be like, yo, get on this joint, you know what I mean? This is what it's about, you know. And I wrote my part, and I went in there and I did it. You know, the thing with Kelis is a different type of situation. We had a mutual friend that asked me to bring her to the studio to meet them. I didn't know her. I brought her to the studio to meet them, and you know, after a couple of weeks of them, you know, having conversations, they decided to sign her. But I had been working with them, you know, around the time they was working with Tammy Lucas, around the time that they were working with. I actually met them when I was working on the song with Light,
Okay.
because they had
My
did that.
turn.
right, my time, right.
My
They had
time.
actually did I Can't Make a Mistake with her around that time. And I knew their managers. Like it was just funny like how everything, you know what I'm saying, kind of linked up. And me and Pharrell had this like, we had this thing where he liked the type of stuff I was talking about. I liked the stuff that he was doing. I never doubted that they would blow through the roof. I never ever doubted that. So the thing is with the Mafia record that was on Kelis's record, he said, yo, Key, just write about like if your man was the mafia. That's
Okay.
how the whole song started. So then I wrote my verses like if my man was the mafia. And then he wrote the whole song and put her on he wrote it around that.
Okay, and it makes sense that he would have you to be involved because it's known that Pharrell is a big digging in the crates fan.
Got it. Hey, okay.
Yeah, like he's talked about before being like really like hip to showbiz and A&G's AG's music. So
Yeah.
definitely not surprised. Um you took a you took a hiatus from the industry. You talk about this in the track Conclusion on your on your album Femme Fatale. Just tell the listeners, just pretty much I'm gonna let the listeners listen to that track, but like definitely what caused the hiatus and how you developed as an MC to bounce back with Female Fatale during the hiatus.
Well, the hiatus was life happening, basically. My mother was very ill. I was losing her. I was in a great place, musically, as far as like, everybody has their dues. I call them dues. People get bitter. Some people hold the bitterness. Some people move through it and move on. So it took a minute. I had like life, like in real time, happening. And one of the things that people don't know is that I'm crazy and I was doing a lot of stuff always at the same time. So I was in college, like I went back, I finished college. I got a 5-year degree. My minor was journalism. My major is media. I was working. I was a teenage mother, and then like I was doing a lot of things, and on top of that life was happening, and on top of that I was dealing with these relationships, these situations that happen in the music industry. And it's different. It was a lot different then for women than it is now. This is very pre Me Too movement.
For sure, for
The
sure.
music industry is very patriarchal. It's very difficult, you know challenging, not difficult, challenging for women to maneuver, through certain things. So I see so many female artists that were talented that got blocked, stopped, cock blocked, because the dude liked them, or the dude didn't like them, or they didn't like the dude, like it just like some real like things you wouldn't even believe. So some people let that stop them, but at some point, after my mom eventually passed away, I started to do the work on me. And then me doing the work, I then found my art again. I then found my voice again. I then decided that I wanted people to know, more about me. I had a back and forth with somebody on the internet telling me I wasn't part of the group Femme Fatale. There was only 2 people. I said, no, there was 3 because I was one of them. And the guy's cussing me out. And I was just like, no, and I had a real deep, I used to have good, deep conversations with AG and Buck Wild. I had this talk with Buck and he was like, yo, because Buck never used to take pictures, ever, nowhere, with nobody. He said, yo, Marquita, one time, I said, I just realized I'm looking at these historical pictures and shit. Like I was there, but I erased myself from history. And I was just like, he realized that he was literally erasing himself from history because he was in those, so that's when
Yeah.
he started taking, and, and that's how I felt, I could relate to that musically, like I still have more to tell. I still have more to talk about. I still want people to hear what I sound like with me, just me, I want them to know my story because, you know, I know people can learn something from a lot of the stuff that I've been through. You know, my son's father was murdered when he was 2. Like I have a lot. My story is like a story within a story within it. I feel like I don't live 5 lives already. Like, to be honest with you, like, you know, in one life. Like, I've been different people, different places, you know. So me finding my way back to music was like me in the beginning talking to you how Femme Fatale was my full circle moment.
Yeah. Did
Now
you
everybody knows those people are me.
did you drop a joint? It was like a little single like video in 2015. Like that was on the road to Femme Fatale. How did just Femme Fatale develop? Did you link up with Venom or and KO Itachi?
No, but what happened was there's a DJ named DJ Davido,
Okay.
and he reached out to me to do a song. He was doing this mixtape called Neighborhood Sickness.
Okay.
He reached out to me to do a record, and that would have been like one of the first people to reach out to me and ask me like, yo, like figure out first of all I was who I am, and then was like, yo, can you give me a record? You
Yeah.
know, he was so supportive. He was so, I think he did the same thing with Antoinette, to be honest with you. Like, he's such an avid, like, you know, artist, hip hop fan, you know what I'm saying? That he really, like, you know, blessed me. Came, he paid me, no problem, good business. I did it. I gave it to him, and that kind of ignited, you know, that ignited the spark in me. You know, I did some stuff with Die Hard Records back then, which was part of our buzz, where they had like Genovese and Mo Money, and that was that Harlem era. Like, they were like releasing little, you know, freestyles and stuff that I had done, and it brought Kyo and Venom to me. My business partner that I had when I started Blockshare Inc. knew them from her managing Bankai and working with Napoleon the Legend.
Yeah.
So they said, yo, you know Marquee, like, yo, let's do a record. We want to do a record with you. And that's how it started.
And yo, another thing that shows you were ahead of your time is that Femme Fatale was one of the first releases on vinyl of the Rat Van Winkle Records, which is which is a popular vinyl distributor. They do a lot of Conway's vinyl and others too as well. So like Femme Fatale was one of the first joints. Tell the listeners a little bit about Blockshare and like how you decided to why you decided to start that.
Well, I started Blockshare with I started with 2 business partners. They then moved on to other things. But I always wanted to develop artists. Like I said, I always wanted to be a writer. You know, so I always have like these group of young guns, you know what I'm saying, around me. Like, I like to hear what they're talking about. I love to hear, you know, singers that don't sound like nobody. I love to work with like new people. So when I started Blockshare Inc., I was working with people. And what was happening is a lot of people that work with new artists sometimes they know, but they don't know nothing. They know, but they don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I was running into a lot of that, you know. So, you know, one of my people just told me, look, Marquita, stop talking to them. You gotta just show them. Just show them so they could see, you know what I'm saying, and understand. Because I think they thought I was only coming out on SoundCloud.
Okay.
Nothing against
No.
SoundCloud, but they didn't understand that we're really making records. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are really gonna hear it. Like, it's a real record. Like, I have a discography. Like, it's not like, you know, because a lot of people with this thing with the computers and the, you know, a lot of times, you know, people do their stuff at home. They feel like they're a celebrity.
Yeah.
I got such and such IG pages, niggas listening to my thing. You just walk, you don't just walk into the music industry. You get invited in. You're not really there. They think they are though, and those are people that's annoying.
Yeah.
Because you really definitely have to be ushered in by someone. Period. Still to this day. And a lot of people have home studios, and that's cool. I love that. But for me, I feel like I love that environment of working with other people. I love other people's art, like, you know, going together, whether your art be do PR or whether your art be financial or art like photographs, or, you know, I just love that artistic element. And to me, people that record a lot of times out of their house, it's a hobby, and it sounds like you recorded it in your house. That's what it sounds like. I mean, that's how I feel.
No, I definitely understand where you're coming from. Well, definitely Marquee. Thank you for talking to us today. Tell the listeners where they can find you just on IG. Just definitely make sure you follow her and check out her new material. She actually has a feature on a Granddaddy IU project that came out in November. So definitely check that out. The song is Party and Blues, I believe. So make sure you check that out.
Came out on Rap Winkle. Yeah.
Okay. And just to tell the listeners where they can find you at on social media.
Well, yeah. Well, the Rap Winkle is where my vinyl is. I did double vinyl, hot pink double vinyl. Bass Harris is the owner of that company. I am Marquee the One, MarqueeThe one on everything. Except my website. My website is MarqueeTheone, my bad, .com. Got a lot of stuff coming. I'm so excited. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. I've been working so hard and it's gonna be good.
Definitely can't wait either. Marquee, definitely thank you for joining us today.
It was a blessing. Thank you for asking me.